It's Tuesday morning. Good morning and welcome to the morning news right here on TV3. We come to you live from our studios at the Subway Kanda. We're also streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. My name is Safwa Bwahine. Now coming up this morning. So to the headlines, we have the missing body of a 4-year-old girl from weekend floods that leave family in agony at Nanakrom in the Denton municipality. Also coming up this morning, transport fare to be reduced by 15% effective Saturday, May 24, following persistent appreciation of cedi against dollar. Also, somewhere, Court of Appeal grants injunction order in cell case against former Railway Minister John Peter Amewu and Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagman. We have details of this and many more coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Many thanks for joining us this morning. Let's settle for the details now into first story. The missing body of a 4-year-old girl has left a family in agony at Nanakrom in the Denton municipality. A heavy downpour on Sunday has also displaced residents, with some losing everything and struggling to find shelter. Christian Yale tells a harrowing story of widespread destruction that has brought life to a halt in the area.
A mother's cry and heartbreak that words cannot describe. The unexpected happened, and life took away her joy when floodwaters swept away her only daughter, who would have soon turned 5 years old.
The
water level had risen, so I was moving upstairs to safety. I slept, and the water took my daughter away. Should have been 5 years old next month.
This next month, no one have 5 years.
The body of a child has not been found yet. This is a trail of destruction that has never been seen before. Cars overturned, buildings collapsed, and properties destroyed. Floodwaters are still stuck in compounds.
There is a bridge that channels this water to the other side of the road. Now that bridge is narrow. All the water will remain on top, so the whole area will flood. So if they can open that bridge a little bit, when you go after the bridge, somebody is filling there, selling the land, the waterways, the dam itself, selling it to people.
Have you reported this person?
I haven't, because who am I going to talk to then?
Items in provision shops have been destroyed. Chris is a fashion designer who has lost everything to the flood.
I have about 11 machines. They have all been submerged. I will plead with anybody who has anything to give should maybe come to our aid and help us.
Some residents sought refuge on their roofs, including pregnant women.
Then all of a sudden, I heard a sound, boom. By the time I realized the flood, heavy flood, all the tenants was just floating on top of the water. The government of Ghana, come and rescue us from this harmful disaster.
The assembly member is helpless. He wants authorities to act immediately.
Nanakrom was here yesterday, but when they weren't able to do much because they didn't have much resources to help the community people. The bridge is broken at the moment as we speak, and then we also need frequent distilling of our gutters.
And so this is someone's single-room building that has been brought down completely by the floodwaters. For residents in Nanakrom, one of their concerns is about how people are increasingly building on waterways, which is one of the major reasons for the destruction that we have at our hand today.
This is the first time I almost have a problem.
I'm in this area for 25 years. I never see this kind of disaster before because people are building, blocking the waterway, but nobody seems to want to do something to help us. Because some years back we went to the assembles and they came around to write waterway, remove it, or they will demolish it.
The scene is one of utter devastation, with residents struggling to come to terms with the disaster. For these people, what to eat and where to lay their heads is hard to find. The road to recovery will be long and challenging, but with support, this community can rebuild. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Nanakrom, Denton.
A very sad one indeed. We hope that the young girl who is lost is found in time. But let's still remain on the floods because the Deputy Director of National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Ahmed Rufai Bolas, has called for a demolition exercise in certain areas of Accra to improve drainage and mitigate flooding. This comes after Sunday's heavy rainfall severely affected residents in some suburbs and highlighted the poor state of the drainage systems.
Yesterday, when our men came to the field, they couldn't even identify whether there was even a slab up here. The whole place was full, covered with water. It got to a time when we needed to even bring a boat to this place. So we are advising and suggesting to the assembly that some demolition needs to be done within this community for people to enjoy their livelihood. We will do all our assessment, go and sit down on a drawing board, then we see what to do. For relief items, if they are supposed to be given, definitely.
We are indeed in the rainy season, and the Ghana Meteorological Agency has predicted more rainfall, warning Ghanaians to expect heavy downpour similar to Sunday's. Head of the Central Analysis and Forecasting Office at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Felicity Ahiafanyo, forecasted the heavy rains and cautioned residents to be prepared. However, some areas suffered devastating impacts from the flood. To improve flood preparedness, Ahiafanyo announced that the agency has developed an app that provides prior information on areas likely to be affected by floods. This too aims to help residents and authorities take necessary precautions.
For the coming days, the rains have started and it will continue, and hopefully by the close of July into the early part of August, where the major season for the southern sector will end. So that means that between now and that time we will be getting rainfall, and it's likely some areas may get as what we experienced yesterday, and some may get it lesser than what we had yesterday. Based on the chart that we received for Sunday. So you said that Sunday, some areas along the coastal strip, the values are great. So you could see that these values are great. It's almost like 2,000 joules, kilograms per joules over this area. So all these areas have an indication that there will be some convective activities. Currently, we have my flood risk app that we are using. So where it helps you to indicate where the floods will be in Accra. So those that have it, if they were to use it yesterday, they may have an idea that where we are, the storm that is coming will result into flood, and they will advise themselves. So we are hoping that we'll be able to expand it across the country so that wherever we get the storm and is going to result into flood, those within that zone will be alerted, and then they can take the necessary actions that they're supposed to take.
Well, away from the heavy rains and the floods, let's take you to one of our headline stories where the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, has announced a 15% reduction in transport fares. The new fares take effect from Saturday, May 24, 2025. This decision follows the recent sustained appreciation of the Ghana cedi against major foreign currencies.
The announcement follows growing public pressure for a reduction in transport fares after 6 consecutive drops in fuel prices at the pumps. The Ghana cedi has also strengthened against the US dollar, appreciating by more than 16% this year. It is currently trading at around 12 cedis 33 pesos to the dollar, compared to about 15 Ghana cedis at the start of the year. The Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, Alhaji Abbas Imoro, told 3 Business in an exclusive interview ahead of an official announcement expected tomorrow that transport fares are set to be reduced.
After a marathon meeting with the Transport Ministry, we finally decided to reduce lorry fares by 15%, but effective from coming Saturday. We considered so many things. Resetting of Ghana, this is our contribution of resetting Ghana. We are not waiting till the normal ingredients that we use before preparing for reduction or increment.
He has also urged the public to report drivers who fail to comply with the new fare directive to the police.
If anybody misbehaves, it is only the law that you have to hand him over to. Don't beat the driver and the maid. They are only two, and normally there will be as many as 12, 14, 30, 40 passengers against only two people. If the driver and his mate misbehaved, you only thing to do is just to hand them over to the police.
Let's bring you a story from court where embattled CEO of defunct Men's Gold, Nanakrom, says he will escalate his case following the Court of Appeal dismissal of his application to halt his trial at the High Court. Nanakrom, has also filed an appeal against the High Court's decision which dismissed his submission of no case application and ordered him to open his defense. Lord Edwasari reports.
On July 11, 2024, the embattled Chief Executive Officer of defunct Men's Gold Ghana Limited, Nanakrom, also known as Nam1, and his two companies were ordered to open the defense to answer charges in the Men's Gold case. That decision followed the High Court in Accra's dismissal of a submission of no case to answer. The court ruled that the prosecution, through its 9 witnesses, had been able to establish a prima facie evidence against them in 35 out of the 39 counts. Presiding Judge Ernest Osudapa, while analyzing the 39 count, determined that the court needs to hear from the accused. Nam1 then filed an appeal against the High Court's decision and subsequently filed an application to stay proceedings pending the appeal. At the Court of Appeal on Monday, May 19, a 3-member panel of justices chaired by Justice Subare held that the former Men's Gold CEO failed to raise exceptional reasons for the case to be put on hold and dismissed his application. Nanakrom reacted following the ruling.
It doesn't end here. I mean, we still have the Supreme Court. So we just exercise all our rights, enshrined under the Constitution, the Republic, this beautiful Republic. So I'll confer with my lawyers, and then whatever as they so advise, we'll proceed.
Spokesperson of the aggrieved Men's Gold customers, Frederick Forson, was pleased with the development.
So I've been advised by our lawyer that while the trial is going on, the actual appeal can also take place, and it doesn't take away any right from the accused persons. And so as customers, we are happy. We have been calling for speedy trial, and I think that is what's going on.
With this new development at the Court of Appeal, the trial of CEO of defunct Men's Gold, Nanakrom, also known as Nam1, is expected to continue here at the Accra High Court. He's expected to defend himself because he's facing charges including fraudulent breach of trust, money laundering. We'll see how things will pan out from here. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's still remain in court where the Court of Appeal sitting in Kufuor has granted an injunction restraining former Member of Parliament for Hohoe, John Peter Amewu, from holding himself as the former legislator of the area. The suit, filed by Prof. Margaret Kweku and others from the Sal traditional areas, was filed in December 2024. The whole High Court in July 2024 dismissed an election petition against the election of Peter Amewu, citing issues with jurisdiction, but an appeal was filed against the High Court's decision. In court on Monday, May 19, 2025, counsel for the petitioners, Chachuchi Kata, prayed the court to, in the interest of justice, stop the Speaker of Parliament from paying any entitlement to Amewu until the determination of the appeal. In their ruling, the 3-member panel of justices ordered the Speaker of Parliament not to process or pay any entitlement to John Peter Amewu until the hearing and determination of the appeal. Let's bring you some more stories where the Minister for Youth and Employment, George Opariado, has disclosed consultations are underway for the upward review of the allowance of national service persons. Earlier, the minister inaugurated a 13-member board to National Service Authority.
Tasked with the President's directive to expunge payroll frauds in the system following the ghost name scandal, the National Service Authority has seemingly been working to stay clear of similar issues. Last week, The authority interdicted 2 of its staff in the Eastern and Ashanti regions allegedly involved in payroll fraud. Investigations are also underway to prosecute persons responsible for the over 81,000 ghost names payroll scandal. Minister for Youth and Employment, George Opariado, during the inauguration of a 13-member board of the National Service Authority, indicated that they ought to work to restore the confidence. According to George Opariado, focus should be on technology, skills development, innovation, and partnerships. He also assured service persons that work was underway to review their allowance from 715 Ghana cedis.
We've written, we've made fair wages, and we are hoping that there's going to be an increment. And so we are still working. We are not done with the negotiations yet, but we are hoping that the allowance will be increased. And His Excellency is very much in tune with it, that the current economic trends and how much they've been paid over the years does not really sit well. And so we are still in talks. You know, issues of increment of allowances, and the numbers are huge, so we must factor it into the budget.
Chairperson of the board, Emmanuel Kaiminta, highlighted the readiness of the board to work.
If you listen to President Mahama when he talks lately, he's not going to take an excuse for anything. We're going to work in collaborating with other security agencies and other partner agencies to ensure that when ghost names are detected, who has so much interest on working on ghost names for his benefit alone, we will not allow it.
The members of the board consisted of individuals from key sectors of the country.
Let's still stay in the sector of work, where more than 600 members of the Teachers and Education Workers Union will exit the education service through retirement this year. This is expected to impose huge workload on 7 members of TEWU in the education sector. Leadership of TEWU has issued a strong warning to government to recruit more staff or risk their anger.
The General Secretary of TEWU, King James Azwatiba, was addressing a news conference in Accra. The news conference was to call on government to ensure that adequate staff are recruited to fill vacancies for non-teaching staff. Available figures from TEWU indicate that 200 non-teaching staff members retire every month. These members include the kitchen staff, accountants, auditors, the security and other non-teaching staff in the education sector. TEWU for the past 5 years has called on government to recruit staff, but that has fallen on deaf ears. The General Secretary of TEWU, King James Azwatiba, called on government to act swiftly to save the sector from collapse.
The overworked kitchen staff, the cooks who work as early as 4 a.m., they are going to work on their own. Nobody's paying their transport. There's even no arrangement for buses to pick them at that late dawn hour. Some of them are being attacked. Some of them are being raped by taxi drivers. And then they have to come to the school and go and pick firewood. Bigger schools like Achimota School still use firewood. And this is leading to a lot of health challenges to our members.
The national chairperson of TEWU, Salamatu Brahima Mahama, was concerned about neglect of the education staff.
The administrator, the HR does not do his or her work, nothing will happen in the education sector.
Currently, TEWU has sought the support of Education International to ask governments on the African continent to invest 20% of its national budget into education. Part of the amount, the Education International is also proposing that it should be used to finance education support staff. Education International representative Anes Dayamba called for adequate conditions of service for education support staff.
The cooks, the cleaners, and other people, we always forget them. Without cleaners, we will not have a good environment for our work. Without cooks, the students will come, but they will not listen because they are hungry. So, and the list goes on. We gonna roll the union.
Away from TEWU, the minority in Parliament has asked the Energy and Green Transitions Minister John Jonapor to stop what they describe as fear-mongering and focus on addressing the challenges in the energy sector. At a media briefing in Parliament, the ranking member of the Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaje, said Dumso is gradually rearing its head again, and that should not be entertained.
The minority group charged the Energy and Green Transitions Minister John Jinapor to stop the complaints and pay the independent power producers for stable power supply.
The minister's recent claim that Ghana has only 2.6 days of fuel left was not just baseless, but economically damaging. Such remarks create an atmosphere of uncertainty and instability, which is detrimental to investor confidence. We acknowledge the financial challenges in the sector, but leadership is about solutions, not excuses. The minister must stop the fear-mongering and focus on fixing fuel supply issues for IPPs, that's independent power producers. It is time to stop the talking and put the lights on. The honeymoon is over, Mr. Minister.
The ranking member on the Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaje, said the previous government prudently invested in the energy sector and charged the Mahama government to do so also to prevent doomsday, which he says is rearing its head again.
The president campaigned on a 24-hour economy, his bold vision requiring uninterrupted power. But how can the private sector businesses, hospitals, agro-processing factories, pharmaceuticals, educational institutions, tourism and entertainment industry operate around the clock when the lights keep going off? Is it 24-hour economy or 24-hour blackout?
Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre also asked government to fix the problems.
The lights were on. You come 5 months, within a month, the light is going on, off, on and off. And you are just coming to tell us that Ghana Water hasn't paid. So what? You are in power. Fix it. Yeah. That is why the people of this country gave them the mandate. So if you're not paying car power as an independent power producer and your light is going off, I need to come back and tell us, the citizens, what are we supposed to do? The NDC government should show leadership by paying the independent power producers. And they will tell you, Mahama is the hope. It is the hope.
And that'll be all for the Morning News right here on TV3. Many thanks for joining us this morning. New Day continues right after the breather. My name is Safwa Abwahine. Have a wonderful day.